600,000 people go missing in the United States each year. Tens of thousands remain mysteriously missing.
Hi, everyone.
Hello.
Welcome back. And today we're going to be talking about Delecia Waddy. She went missing Thursday, March 9th, 2017. And she's 24 years old at the time, and now she's 25.
She's an African American, 5'1", 145 pounds, brown eyes, black hair, and multiple tattoos.
And in a few of her pictures, the tattoos are fairly visible. I believe she had one on her wrist, one on her chest, and then one on her shoulder.
And the one on her shoulder was like leopard spots?
That's what it was saying, yeah. You can't really tell in the picture, but I believe it is leopard spots on her shoulder.
Did she have body piercing as well?
There was, she had a nose ring, they said, and then she also had her ears and one side of her nose are pierced.
Okay. And we don't have a lot of information about what she was doing, if she was working or going to school. One report stated she was a level-headed, beautiful young lady, smart and talented, and set on a bright future, but we're not sure what that was. So she went missing on March 9th on a Thursday in 2017.
And she was wearing a black and white shirt, dark pants, and a multicolored baseball cap. And they did have surveillance video of her that day, leaving an apartment, I believe.
Yeah, so before she left the apartment, she was on her Facebook at 5 a.m.
Mm-hmm.
And she left a kind of interesting quote.
Her quote was, "It's never too late to do the right thing. Don't get discouraged. Speaking to myself also."
So that's concerning.
Yeah.
The quote says that do the right thing. And I'm wondering if she was, that day was going to evolve around meeting a person who they needed to do the right thing or talk about it or get together.
And she was on Facebook a lot, right? There was multiple posts. I believe someone said she was on there almost hourly, if not daily.
Daily, consistently, hourly, right?
Yeah.
Before her disappearance. So she was caught on surveillance camera at an apartment building of her sister's called the New Bridge Village Apartments. And she was walking towards her SUV, which was a silver Ford Explorer. And that was in Henrico, Virginia, about 20 miles south of the campground where she went missing.
So we're thinking she had driven up to the campground, and this was around 9:30 in the morning.
Right.
Still on March 9th.
So a 20-mile drive, she ends up at the campground at about 11:30. Yeah. Who knows? She might have stopped for breakfast or...
Mm-hmm. And as far as we know, she was alone. She tried to get a space in the campground, and we're not sure what happened, but she had ended up leaving without getting one.
So she probably didn't make a reservation, and then when she tried to negotiate one on a Thursday, you'd think you could get in.
Yeah, but there was notes that there was a theme park close by.
Right.
Maybe they're a little bit busier than usual.
Right.
It is, March. I don't know.
It's a large theme park. It's got roller coasters, water rides. Yeah. It's right across Highway 688 from the campground. And there's also a nearby truck stop that runs around Highway 30, which runs along the top of the campground. So a lot of activity in that area, and people probably going to the campground and staying there for, to also use the theme park. And
I'm not sure, did we ever find out how big that campground was?
I looked at there's pictures of it. They had little cabins. It's a KOA, and then tent sites as well. So not extremely large, but large enough that, you think you could probably get in there.
On a Thursday, yeah.
Yeah, nice campground, actually.
Okay. So then Thursday, her car was reported kind of in a weird location or spot.
The police reported it as a strange, quote-unquote, location. Okay. And so I guess the campground people must have seen her car in that strange location. And then at 10:45 that night, they said 10:45 p.m. on one news report, a witness had called in And they must have reported seeing her earlier walking in a field on the Route 30, which runs at the top of the campground, east to west along, it's called King's Dominion Camp Wilderness Campground.
So by now her car has been pretty much abandoned because she was walking. Someone had called in that they saw a female walking, on this, Route 30.
Right.
Near a field.
So I believe the way it unfolded was once they got the car reported abandoned and her walking, they called the family.
Right.
And said, "Is she with you?" And the family obviously said no. And then it feels like they might have gone out there that night, but certainly the next morning, Friday morning, they had a 8:14 a.m. news conference, and they had said at that time they had found her vehicle abandoned. The sheriff's office and the Virginia State Police were called in, and they considered her missing at that time.
Okay, so March 10th, she was reported missing.
Right, the very next
So
day.
Friday.
And, at 8:14 in the morning, they're having a news conference. Obviously, they probably did a little searching in the night.
Yeah, and then there was something about her car, though, that, it had gas. It wasn't dead on the side of the road. So, why did she leave her car?
It was in running order and in a strange location.
Yeah.
So was it parked askew near a field or near the campground? They're not really saying, but it seemed to be in the campground area. So at that point, they brought in search and rescue, and because of the report of her walking east on 30, they kind of followed that route, and
Right.
within a mile, they ended up at the state fairgrounds called Meadow Event Park, which crosses the North Anna River. Some people report it as a creek, and there they found
A cell phone. They had her purse, her wallet, driver's license, and a few other belongings just scattered.
and that's strange.
Very strange.
Yeah, because no woman will leave her car, nor
No.
will she leave her belongings.
Exactly, yeah.
And one report said that she did look a little disoriented while she was walking. Another report said that she looked like she was partially clothed, but that might just mean that she took off her coat or something
Right.
like that.
That's just so odd, though. Your stuff is thrown everywhere. I don't know if there was someone else involved with that,
It seems like foul play immediately. And I would consider that there's something going on when I would see something like that. The temperature was good that day, according to the Farmer's Almanac. It was 74 degrees. It got down to about 40 at night. One news report, it seemed to be windy and at that time of day, but I think the weather was fair enough that probably didn't come into play.
Now, the really interesting thing, the same day that search was called off.
Exactly. So Friday afternoon, the same day, and they probably looked through the night. We'll give them that. And then they did the report Friday morning. But the deputies, troopers, search and rescue, EMS that had begun looking for Delecia near the campgrounds and the fairgrounds decided to call it off after witnesses said that they saw her. And it was just seeing her on Route 30. So they assumed that she wasn't there.
They even had dogs go out, I believe, and tracked her at a home in that area. So not her home, a random home.
So those two things, seeing her and tracking her, they just assumed that she wasn't there, but she had...
Or in danger.
They're saying that she voluntarily left the area, and
I don't think she'd voluntarily throw her things everywhere.
Disappeared voluntarily. You're
Yeah.
right. And we can all assume that some people want to run away or leave their family or leave their situation, especially with their cryptic quote on Facebook, "It's never too late to do the right thing. Don't get discouraged." I'm speaking to myself. But we don't leave without the comforts of life. If you have a car,
Right.
you want to use that car.
Exactly.
And women and purses, you don't disconnect from your purse. So there was a quote from the Caroline Sheriff's Office, And they stated, "I would like to thank the media, the public, and all of the dedicated men and women of law enforcement who have tirelessly searched for Delecia Waddy. The Richmond sighting provides hope that Delecia will be found safe and returned to her family." So they were giving up at that time. And because of that, the media didn't really keep it alive, and the search was called off. On Sunday, additionally, someone thought they saw her, an acquaintance.
And this was the tip that was called in, right?
Yeah, and
That
it
they
was called
saw
in
her.
on Tuesday, but they said because they didn't know she was missing, they didn't call it in until Tuesday, but they thought they saw her on Sunday in Richmond, which is, of course, 25 miles south of the campground.
And I don't know, did we ever find a Facebook? I know she had her own Facebook, obviously, because she was posting on there. But did the family create one?
There was one report that the family created a Facebook page in April of 2017, and yet I don't know if that Facebook page is still active today.
We did find the GoFundMe page.
A GoFundMe page was started by one gentleman. It looked like in a investigative business called Morse Investigation Services. And he had just done that in March of 2018, so a year later. And yet, yes, there's not a lot of support there at all. There was one news interview that I saw that the family stepped up to speak about her missing, which was in the first day.
And I believe she has two sisters. She does have a twin and then a sister, Brittany. And then her mom and dad are Felicia and Brian.
And her mom was the one that, after the sheriff spoke, got up to speak to the people. She was very emotional. Her other daughter, not the twin, but I believe it might be Brittany, also supported her and spoke out about wanting to find Delecia, and they were very concerned at that time. She's still listed on the Hanover County Sheriff's Office website as missing, but because she was, or they assumed she was voluntarily missing, there has been no activity on the case.
So even though, she received a little bit of local attention and publicity, there's been no new updates or new developments that we're aware of. And then it shows that Delecia Waddy's case, missing people searches are not equal all the time.
Right. So there's a foundation called the Black and Missing Foundation. It's a nonprofit organization, and its mission is to bring awareness to missing people of color. And they provide vital resources and tools to missing persons' family and friends. And their statistics say that 30 to 40% of missing Black people are not represented in the media. And the Huffington Post went on to say that there is a bias of reporting of missing Black children in the media, and there is no match for the influence of local and national news coverage. And Delecia never went national.
No.
Nor did she stay local for very long. And there was just one, the GoFundMe set up a year later that I'm aware of.
Mm-hmm. And even on Instagram, if you hashtag her missing case, there's only maybe one or two posts about it.
There's
so
not
much activity.
Right. Not a lot of search sites are reporting her. I mean, the traditional ones like the Charlie Project and Missing Adult Kids are definitely reporting her. But one of them called NamUs, she's not on there. So, yeah, Googling her, there's not a lot of awareness and update for her case. One post on a Facebook account that the family created, and this was in April of 2017, was the family reaching out to the public.
Yeah, and that post said, "We're coming up on 4 weeks since Delecia was last seen leaving her fully functional vehicle behind at a campground. A short ways away, her charged and functional cell phone wallet, and personal items were found. The last eyewitness believed she was barefoot and disoriented. Delecia posted on social media consistently, daily, even hourly for months before her disappearance. In the week since, she has not accessed funded bank accounts, called friends or family, or logged into any of her social media. This is not a premeditated act of a woman trying to start a new life or escape a bad situation. Please share her poster, share her story, force the media and public to say Delecia's name. We cannot just wait for her to be carried into an ER or worse. Be proactive and help bring Delecia home.
Yeah, so it's unfortunate that the sheriff's office has, I know it's still an active case with them, but in the sense that they just labeled her voluntarily missing. Mm-hmm. And, you know, how many times do people report seeing somebody and they're mistaken? So
Right.
if she was reported in Richmond on a Sunday after she went missing on Thursday, you know, by an acquaintance, you know, maybe that really wasn't her. So
Right.
that you can't just base it on that.
Exactly. You know, if you don't have enough funds or resources, does your case go cold without law enforcement keeping it current?
There is an inequality about if you have the resources, funds, money to keep things alive and going, or the technology awareness.
Yeah.
Does a case go cold? And is she voluntarily missing? Why would she leave her vehicle or cell phone, purse, and wallet? I mean, that just doesn't make sense. Another question was, who was she meeting at the campground? If she was meeting, I mean, people don't normally camp by themselves, so who was she meeting there?
And why wasn't she able to get a campsite? That was
Yeah.
another.
And again, that quote, was she meeting that person that they want to do the right thing? So lots of questions, not a lot of answers, and hopefully some interest in this case will be established. And if you have any information, please contact the Hanover County Sheriff's Office at area code 804-365-6140 or the Metro Richmond Crime Stoppers at area code 804-780-1000.
You can also look at pictures and some information on our Instagram, Mysteriously Missing, or you can email us at mysteriouslymissing411@gmail.com.
Thanks for joining us
Thank you.
today.